Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about how to not be a slave and how to be your own master. Because I talk about a lot of things here on YouTube and bring a lot of social, political, psychological, ethical questions to MGTOW. It's not just about female nature. It's not just about interacting with women. It's about how a man interacts with the world itself. Now, there's a lot of things that I don't say, that I would like to talk about, but I don't say, because they're a little too shocking. They're a little too upsetting, okay? And I hold back on a lot of it. So I want to talk about how to not be a slave. You know, I talk a lot about slave morality, master morality, the values of a person. And in my video yesterday, Why She Can't Love You, MGTOW, I spoke about some of the conflicts that modern men are going through, how they're actually torn between two sets of values. One set where they sacrifice and take care of others and try to impress women and try to do the right thing by other people. And another set of deeper, more natural values, which tell them to not be anyone's bitch, to not be an emotional fool, to get things done, to be strong as a man, to not indulge your emotions, to be effective, to take care of yourself, to be independent, to be strong. We don't even have the words for those values anymore. You don't even know what they are. You don't even know where they came from. You don't even understand how they mix with those other set of values and why they mix, okay? And I don't talk about it, and neither do other content producers, because it's too extreme. It's too much, okay? But these are the patriarchal values within you, okay? These are the values of your father and your father's fathers. You think maybe, oh no, you have to be a simp. It's like, no, and you don't understand, okay? Those are the values of the slave. You have to be a man, and then they become a simp. In other words, a male who's willing to be a simp before he can be a man? What a joke. What a sad, sorry joke. He's a boy. He's a weak little boy, okay? He can't build anything. So let's get into it, all right? Let's talk about it. So where does it come from? Well, you know that the word patriarch comes from Rome, from Greek and Roman times, all right? And you know what the oldest male of a Roman family was doing, don't you? Of course you do. No, you don't really. He was trying to make himself into a patriarch, a ruler, a builder of a family, of a legacy. He could own slaves, all right, but he could not be a slave. And influencing the public and the people around him was a huge deal. So when his father passes away, he usually puts on a big set of games to honor his father. Another one of the things he might do after someone in his family has passed away, he might put up statues of them in the area and talk about all of their good deeds. He might, depending on how much, they've done, he might even suggest that they were a god. And here's the thing. If you think that that was unusual, you better know that that's what nearly all of them did. They weren't merely trying to make themselves into patriarchs. They were trying to make themselves into gods. Because remember, they didn't have the single god. They had, the whole collection of gods, representing all kinds of human values. So as a man, they weren't just interested in gathering up their daily bread and saving up a little bit for the future. No, they had a family name, they had ancestors, they had political ambitions for themselves, and realize if you don't make it, you probably die. Okay, so it's not like, oh, well, that sounds like a lot of work. I don't really want to do that. I would rather just be an artist or something. No, then you're a slave. Okay, you're either doing this successfully or you're a failure. And it's not just a few of them. It's not just some of them. It's all of them. So here's the thing. This is the master morality, all right? These guys own slaves, all kinds, from all over. You're thinking, oh, being a slave is horrible. It's like, well, it's not that different from being an employee. Understand that. So what happens, right? Why do the men stop trying to make themselves into gods, into, famous patriarchs, even within their own family? Well, Christianity happens. It's too hard. You can't do this. This is not the lot for the majority of men. The majority of men are slaves. They cannot become gods. They don't carry themselves in life as responsible overlords. They complain, they grumble for their bread. There's very little that they can build for themselves. They have to be employed. They have to be working for someone else, bigger, with better plans. And so they develop a completely different set of morality. They say things like, it's best to share your food. They say things like, stranger and friend are the same thing. They say things like, it's better to give than receive. Because they're constantly coming up to people and saying, will you give to me? Will you give to me? Turn the other cheek. Because they had to. They had no choice. They couldn't fight back. They weren't strong enough. They weren't brave enough. They didn't have the values. So two different sets of morality. Why do you think in the Christian Bible Jesus is the Son of God? What do you think is going on there? Why do you think he's born a god? Roman patriarchs are not born gods. They have to become gods. Do you understand? Do you see what's happened? Do you see the values that switched from being one type of a man who could make himself a god into another type of man who could never be anything but a slave and has to die on the cross? Do you understand? Are you starting to see the picture now between these two different sets of morality? Do you understand why I don't make videos about this? This is master morality and this is slave morality. You were born, you are a natural, we are all masters, okay? You're supposed to be a master of your own life, of your own destiny, of your own fate. Until you have that, you're going to feel terrible. They say slavery is gone. Yeah, slavery to someone else. But now you are your own master, and you are your own slave. You got to get up early. You got to work hard. It's just the way it is if you want to get ahead in life. You know, when you're dragging yourself out of bed, when you're forcing yourself to do stuff that you don't want to do, yeah, what do you think is going on there? What conversation is taking place in your head? The conversation that's taking place in your head is there's one side of you, usually your physical body, whatever, and you're all like, oh shit, I don't want to do this. This is too hard. I need a break. This isn't fair. And then there's another part of you, usually your mind and your will, this talking part of you, okay, that you think of as you. And it says, no, you got to go to work. You have to pay bills. Stop being so lazy. Stop being so weak. You'll feel okay. Get up, clear your head, get your stuff done. You'll start to feel okay in a little while. And if you don't work too hard, take it easy, get done what you need to get done, and then go rest. Come home and rest. So that's the conversation that's going on in your head most of the time. That's the conversation that's going on in my head most of the time. Understand these two things are at odds, right? You have become your own slave, and you have always been your own master. But it doesn't really work, does it? Because you end up pushing yourself way too hard. You end up having not enough mercy and compassion for yourself. You don't make yourself strong and fit and healthy, right? And if you do, you think you're being selfish and childish. That's how it kind of works with me. You know what I mean? Like I neglect myself, right? And then sometimes I'm like overindulgent and soft on myself. So understand that Christianity takes a lot of the values from a patriarchal society and then codifies them in, its stories and undercuts it. You know what I mean? It really does invert the values of the whole thing. You can understand that the things that are portrayed in the Bible are the exact type of things that a slave son would imagine being able to do for his people, for his family, for his tribe, for his city, for his group. You can understand it, right? You can see that that's what the fantasy is. It's the fantasy of a slave boy who wants to become a god and save the world. And you understand where the Roman patriarch was coming from too, don't you? That he wanted to be as strong and as capable as his father. He wanted to raise his father to heaven itself in the minds of others. And he wanted for himself to be seen in that light. That's where we come from. Those are the set of values that the men are pursuing, but most of them are slaves and they can't do it. So a whole new set of values kicks in. And these are values which undermine masculinity. They're at odds with masculinity. They are at odds with a strong individual. Now, we have reconciled them within ourselves, but there's this terrible conflict, okay? And we don't even know the source of the conflict, okay? Because it really is that you are born, you must be a master in this world, but you have been given the values of a slave, of a discontented, angry slave who hates his masters and wants to destroy and undercut them. But you need the values of a strong, free, independent man who wants to build his way in the world. So that's the conflict. Okay, that's the two parts of you that are completely at odds with each other. And it's the slave morality that wins out. It's not the master morality that wins out. So very difficult for you as a man. Very difficult for me as a man. This is why it's very hard for you to communicate with some men. This is why communicating with some men kind of makes you sick. Because you can tell, what set of values they have and what road they're going down. And, that's not appropriate for a man. It doesn't really work. But the young man, he can't see it yet. So this is just a theory of mine, that we have these two sets of values conflicting within us, and that you need to be the strong, independent man with those values, but instead you have the values of the resentful slave. I'm going to leave it at that for now. So let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.